Good Monday morning, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. A little bit different time of day, different day of the week, but jumping in here because Carol Garner, who's with us on here, say, hey, Carol.
Hello.
She and
Good
I were
Monday
at an
morning.
amazing boot camp this weekend, and we were in the mountains together. And actually, when we were both on our way up there, we were preparing, and I was doing something, and she was doing something, and we both were just like, boom, we heard Kirby Smart Coach Kirby Smart talk, and it just connected us because I don't know about you. You probably everybody listening is probably not a dog fan, but some of you maybe or may not be. But it just connected with us because they're not just coaches; they're leaders. But we're going to get into that in just a minute. But Carol, tell everybody how you and I connected and how we know each other.
Yeah, Curt. Well, that goes a while back.
It does, doesn't it? Make me
So
feel old.
I really have a cute story to tell, though. In first grade, okay, we connected because his son Zach and my daughter Annalie, our daughter Annalie, went to the same elementary school, private Christian school in Lilburn, Georgia, and I had just joined the Juice Plus company, literally like the year before, I guess, maybe January before school started that August, and so I walked into the first grade classroom on the day that it was like drop in and meet the teacher, and you just bring your child and you don't really stay, you do all that and you leave. And I had on my Juice Plus shirt because I wanted to share, well, I want everybody to know, your brand new partner, you're like all excited. And this little brown eyed boy walked up to me and looks up with his big eyes and says, "Do you sell Juice Plus?" And I said, "I do." I said, "What's your name?" And he said, "Zach Beavers." And I knew about Curt and Lori Beavers because I had been going to the Atlanta Business Center and knew that they were very successful in the business and they were this. And I was like, oh my gosh, Curt and Lori Beavers have their kids at this school. So that was really cool to me. And then as you go through, the moms all become friends. You're always at the school helping with the kids. And I can tell you, I could notice that as the kids got older and they were in sports and different after school things, he was showing up on the sideline. He was there to watch. He would come to the baseball games. He would come, to soccer or tennis or whatever. But so that's kind of how we met. And I probably obviously got to know Lori a little better. But then as I got into the Juice Plus business more, always knew about Curt and kind of had a little connection. And then like later in life, in the last, I'd say 5 or 6 or 8 years, we really connected more as, became empty nesters.
Yep.
And we sort of have ventured off together into the love of the, Georgia Bulldog fandom base.
Well, it's
Uh,
funny. It's funny, Carol, because that son. I have three kids, and the son of mine that was friends with your daughter, Anna Lee. Um, he ended up being the mascot for the Georgia Bulldogs and was on the field in that hairy dog costume, and that's really what drew Lori and I in to like we love football, we love Southeastern Conference football, but I actually people they're gonna think this is crazy, but I actually went to Georgia Tech. And my dad played on the Georgia Tech national championship team, and so I really am I'm a Georgia football fan. That's the state of Georgia football fans. But as much as I love Georgia Tech, there's just something about SEC football. It's different. And when all your money goes there and your kids go there, it just kind of redirects your heart. And so Carol and I have connected. We sit like one section apart from each other, almost on the exact same row, kind of near the 50-yard line, and we get to watch the games together. We've gone to McGill Society events together. We've traveled together to away games, and so that's become a real bonding. But you know what really bonds Carol and I is both of us just our commitment to a relationship with Jesus and our church. And when you have good friends and you just know that it's not just this earthly moment that you'll know each other, but it's eternity. That's the real connection. It's even though we've never gone to church together, I feel like our ministry lives have overlapped too. Maybe that's because of school.
Well, and also your son Zach, again, I could tell you, I mean, I'm not going to go into all of it on this, but there are so many Zach moments in our life
my,
for
my my
us.
life too.
And
Yeah.
but one of the latest, greatest moments is Zach invited us to the church that he's a member, he and his wife are a member of.
They got
And
married there. Yep.
yeah, and we went a couple times and didn't quite connect with the pastor for whatever reason, and we kept searching. We had moved to Athens. That's another old story, like 2019. So we were in a big search after COVID for a new church. And I saw Zach at Georgia-Florida game where we had kind of hooked up with the Beavers for a minute, at the hotel on the Friday night. And he said, "Say, how's it going? And, have y'all found a church yet or something?" He brought it up. And he said, you should come to Watkinsville, because I told him we hadn't really settled yet. I said, "Well, we did, Zach, and we didn't really like it." And he went, his eyes got so big, and I didn't say we didn't like it. I said, we didn't really connect, with the pastor or whatever. His eyes got so big, and he was like, "What?" He made me feel horrible. I thought, oh no. And so he said, "You need to come back." And we did. And he was right. And so that's where we are.
Yep, and you got to know his in-laws, and they're really involved in the church.
I know,
so,
yeah. His in-laws are all in that church, and
and lots is going on. I mean, just I'll drop this one last line about our kids, and my Zach and Sarah Ellen. They are living in Texas right now, and y'all can pray this Thursday. I don't know when you're going to listen to this, but July 24th. Their 3-month-old baby, our granddaughter, will have her second open heart surgery, her first 4 months of life. So pray for her on Thursday, and we're heading out there that way tomorrow. But Carol, let's dive in here for a minute. And everybody's going to think we're going to get on here and just rub Georgia in their face. I got my hat on, you got your shirt on, and yes, red and black's fun. Red's my favorite. Even though I went to Georgia Tech, red's always been my favorite color, so it's easy for me to grab the red and black. But what I'd love for us to do just for a minute is for everybody to put your guard down, take your pom-poms down, and let's be business minded. Let's be principle minded. Let's think for a minute, what can we learn? Our business, and I'm gonna let Carol talk. I'm not going to talk the whole time. Our business is a little bit like, I think it's a lot like a church, a pastor leading a church, and it's really like a coach leading an amateur or a college football team. I'm not sure college is amateur anymore. That's a whole nother subject, but you have to lead and motivate people that you can't fire. It's in some way it's a volunteer army. They're all independent business owners, so they have to want to do what you're trying to focus and direct them to do. And so I followed great pastors that have led movements. I followed Paul, who built the early church. But you watch these college coaches, and it's very interesting. They get, maybe it's not entirely, but at least a 50% probably new team every year. They got new players every year. They got to remotivate and start all over. How do you keep telling them the same things and remotivating them every year? And I have just admired Kirby Smart. He's not just, some of these guys, you might think they're just dumb jocks, but he's not. I mean, he's a brilliant, smart man and a great leader. Carol, kind of like, you can go back a couple years if you want to too, but how have you seen Kirby Smart take these young next generation of leaders, and what does he do to motivate them?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I just, just flashing back as soon as you said that, one of the first things that he brought to the table as a brand new coach at Georgia, he'd never been a head coach. If you don't know the story, he played football at Georgia. So he's born and raised in Georgia. Father was a coach. His wife was born and raised in Georgia, played basketball at Georgia. So they're all in. And he was over the top excited to get the head coaching job after Mark Richt. And he brought something to the table that fascinated me then. He called it skull sessions. So, the players show up in the summer and do workouts and things, and there's all the limitations about what they can and can't do for the NCAA. But once they're all here in early August, they literally live in the hotel on campus. It's called the Georgia Center or the Georgia Hotel. They live in the hotel on campus. They get together in their position groups, and he says they have skull sessions. So they go around talking about their why. Where have you heard that before? So they go around talking about their why of playing football. And these guys, I mean, so many of them, probably a majority of them, saying, I'm the first one in my family to go to college. Or, my mother has worked 3 jobs to raise our family as a single mom, and I want to pay her back. I want to make money. They have serious whys. And if they don't have those desperate things, they have the motivation, because it's not easy to do this football thing.
It's not. No.
So he brought that to the table, and he lives by that to the day. He says that's one of the best things that they ever do. These guys know why the other ones are there. And he goes, they get up in front of the room, and they probably have never told anybody things they're telling their position group. And, Kirby doesn't tell all the things they say. It's personal. It's all with them. So that's really big. And then every year he also has a mantra.
Yeah.
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
I guess that's what he
A
calls it. And I
motto
wish
or
I,
a theme or something. Yeah. Yeah.
yes. And I forget what it was with the All Blacks.
It was,
Never,
I had
something
it in my head.
never,
I was gonna say it too. Oh my gosh, the all black team
never,
last year, something never.
never quits. Something. Anyway,
Yeah, keep
he
going.
has
We'll think
things
of it in a
every
minute.
year. And
Yeah.
that's the thing too. And that as a leader, you have to renew that every year. You can't use the same one from year to year. And so he's genius in that, in my
Yes, he is.
opinion. And he doesn't make these up himself. He's got people helping him. He does his research. He goes out and he researched the All Blacks, which is a rugby team out of Australia that's like got history back to the 1800s. And he finds something to pull from, just like we do, and he just does it so well. And that's really what he gets his players to buy into. And then from there, they buy into it. He figures out who's going to be the leaders on the team for this year, and he really pressures them. He really does. He tells them, I need you. I need you to lead the team. Your teammates will listen to you more, they'll listen to me. I mean, anyway, I could go on and on.
I know. One of the things I was trying to find that statement that was the main statement of the book of that
Better
rugby
never
team.
quits. It just came to me.
Yeah,
Better
better
never
never
quit.
rest. Better never rest.
Better never rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better never rest. And it's been a great theme every year. But one of the other things, so yeah, it's unique. As a leader, there's certain things that time doesn't change, like that skull session. He's got that going every year. That's not a new thing. Something else that he keeps in place is I guess you would say it's his work ethic, or it's his battle cry. It's keep chopping. It's like it's you don't stop. You keep chopping. You till the tree's down, till what you got to do is done. You just keep chopping. You stay at it. And I've really admired him, how he's led and how he's done that. And sometimes he's loud, sometimes he's very thoughtful, and he's very thorough, and he's careful with his words. And I think he's just a really good leader. And this year, it's a little different. I think let's talk about the first part of it first, Carol, because we're connecting the dots here. Because we have a business where, yeah, you have an opportunity. You can go out and kick a ball, throw a ball, run the ball, or you can build a team that can do so much more than you could do by yourself. If you play for Kirby Smart or one of these amazing coaches in the sport of football today, you may bring some incredible skills to the table, but if you don't become a team player, you're not going to accomplish the goals you want to accomplish. And Carol is one of our top leaders in our company. She's reached the top level, what we call national marketing director. And she couldn't do that just by being good at this business. She was able to do that because she could lead other people. I mean, she had an amazing, one of the most amazing people I've met in our business, Dr. Joseph Pohl. He was with us this weekend at our boot camp, and he's a well-known OBGYN in Gwinnett County, and is a leader and has a great family and three great kids. And he and his son run a fitness gym up in the Barrow County area of the state. He was there with us. And another lady whose a mother-daughter team were there, and another pharmacist from Lookout Mountain, and a collegiate all-American tennis player who came to the U.S. from England. I mean, there were all kinds of different people there that Carol's pulled together that are people she's led, and you don't do that alone. So this year, as we're talking about Kirby and leading a team, let's dig into some principles for this year, Carol. And there's something I want Carol to share in a minute, because one of the things I've learned about Carol is there's a tenacity and follow-up that I think all leaders have. It's one of the qualities that I admire about Carol. And but Carol, what are the three big words this year? He said, I forgot how he phrased it, but you know what the three words I'm talking about are. How did he set How did he set the stage to say, this is what we're going to focus on all year, that you have to have blank? What did he say?
Yeah. Yeah, he's always the recruiting, as you can imagine, in college football.
I can't even imagine. It's a nightmare now.
It's fear, and it's a 24/7 job. I mean, Kirby really kind of says coaches don't ever get to take any time off from the year, except right now in July when they have they're not allowed to contact recruits or anything. So anyway, he said, I want people that want to play for Georgia to come to Georgia. I want them to want to be here. I want them to work hard. I want them to want to be coached up and be developed. I want them to have fire, passion, and energy.
Yeah, those were his 3 words: fire, passion, and energy.
Yes. And he's connected with some returning players. He talked about this at the media, social media, not social media, the conference media days, the SEC media days, and said, I'm talking about that all the time around the players now, fire, passion, and energy. And I want my leaders, the ones that are returning from the years past, they've been there a couple years at least, and you've got to get everybody to buy in on fire, passion, and energy. And he's seeing that develop, that they're taking ownership of that.
And I think that's hard because, I mean, he's certainly there. There's a conundrum out there in that sport where I'm going to bring it home and connect it back to our business. But you have a whole new world where you formerly had amateur athletes and they earned their scholarship and they were preparing for their rights to play in the NFL. And that fire, passion, and energy was probably a little easier to resurrect and be present. But now that you have so many of them that are getting paid, sometimes their goal was to get paid instead of their goal being great and getting developed. And I think he said, they're going to get paid, but he said they're just getting, if they're focused on getting paid now versus hitting the big payday, which will be the NFL. NIL's for now, the NFL's for later. And, Carol, I relate that to our business because I see people that can go after our title rewards, which are one-time paychecks. And then I see other people like you that you're going to build a team so you can create that consistent, faithful residual income that's over and over again. And, this weekend, I will tell you that I got to kind of connect the dots with what Carol just said, those 3 words, fire, passion, and energy, because I looked back and I said, okay, how have the last 5 years of living in this world, think about what all's happened. Everybody's got a story. Think about what you've gone through the last 5 years of your life, you, your family, your business, maybe your church. And how have you responded to that? Because I don't think any of us in our wildest dreams could have anticipated what we've gone through the last 5 years. From, I got COVID right in the beginning, like when the first plane landed over here from Ireland. I was at the Atlanta airport and I got it. So who thought that was coming? Who thought the political craziness we've gone through was coming? Who thought? It seems like common sense went away. And so let's don't get into all that. But what I'm saying is, how have you responded to that? Think about that, and then think about maybe you had fire, passion, and energy 5 years ago. But it's something in that, all these things, and we could all list things. You may have bought so much toilet paper for a respiratory virus that you snuffed out your own fire, passion, and energy. Or maybe you caught the house on fire. I don't know. But crazy stuff. But if you had fire, passion, and energy before, I want you to ask yourself an honest question. Do you have that same fire, passion, and energy today? Or did living in your pajamas for 2 years rob that from your life? And I think if we're honest, a lot of us, maybe we got to where we put a shirt on for Zoom, but still have our pajama bottoms on and we don't leave the house. Not literally.
And
Go ahead.
I want to give a plug because I don't want to forget this. I was at the Blue Ridge Boot Camp this weekend, like he said, with some team, and Curt brought in an amazing group of leaders to train us, and they brought the fire, passion, and energy from the front of the room. They nailed it. It was awesome. The whole weekend, the speakers, I took so many notes, and it brought fire, passion, and energy to a higher level for me too. And some of my team that was there that had been a little bit checked out the last couple years, and I feel like, they felt it. They felt it. This is good. We have community. We all on this together. All the people are here to help us, all the things. And so if you're out there listening, you're in the Juice Plus community, you aren't doing boot camps and you aren't doing conference, you're missing your opportunity to stoke the fire, passion, and energy that's in your belly.
Totally, Carol. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think, no matter where you are politically or where you are with, your thoughts on government, I felt personally that I've lived the last 5 years, if someone asked me the question I asked the audience, in our business and in our country, I felt like we were a people group living without leadership. I felt like that on a national level. I felt it, but then I also felt it in our company because when our founder and president basically just aged out, he's in his early 80s now. He can't do what he used to do. He's got some of the things that you get when you get older, dementia and those kind of things. He's an amazing man, almost like a second father to me. But when he left, you don't replace somebody like that. What you do is you find somebody that can take the torch that he lit and move on. And we had, as a company, we had 5 to 7 years of a leaderless place. It was hard, COVID and all those things. But we have, like Carol said, Kirby doesn't just say fire, passion, and energy. He has it. He models it from the front of the room. We didn't have somebody modeling that from the front of the room. Travis Garza, Skylar, Stacy, the home office leadership, as well as the amazing leadership that were on stage this weekend. It's easy to follow and have fire, passion, and energy when the leader has it too. Would you not agree with that, Carol?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it compelled me to have even more. I
Yep.
mean, to just bring it more to my team.
Well, you did. What made us have this chat is Carol shared something with me amazing, and I don't want us to go on forever. So let me get to the punchline here because I want to brag on Carol for a minute. Let's do two things, Carol. There were two more things that I think we learned this past week when you and I were talking, just hearing some of the leadership lessons. One was, what did Kirby say when he was trying to convey to this group how he leads? Hey, just so you all get a little bit a better picture, he was being asked questions about how he leads. There was the media was asking him, how do you lead? And I forget the exact question he was asked, but he responded with talking about choosing to live in your comfort zone versus choosing to act like you've got somewhere you want to go and you're trying to grow and get better. Can you elaborate on that, Carol? What did you think about
Yes,
that? Yeah.
because I remember what led up to that. He was talking about the whole NIL, the players getting paid, and
Yeah.
he's in favor of that. But there's a lot of stuff going on out there if you're not involved in following it, putting guardrails on it that aren't there right now. And he said, I have some players show up and they're making $100,000 a year or something to come here and play football. And they come in as a 5-star or 4-star or whatever star. That's another thing he said at the beginning when he came coach. He goes, well, I tell my players when they get here, they can leave their stars at the door. We're all on a level playing field.
Yeah. Or all equal. Yeah.
Yeah, so he says they come in and they've gotten the money and they're good. I mean, obviously he recruited them, they're really good, but they're in the comfort zone. And they're like, well, I don't need to be coached up and developed and everything. I'm comfortable here. And
They lose their fire, passion, and energy, right? Yeah.
yes. And so they don't have a higher goal. They think they're ready for the NFL, obviously, and they're 18 years old. I mean, come on. So some of them are even 17. So he says you don't reach your goals by being comfortable.
And can you not see that? I
Wow.
mean, you're 17 years old and you get a big paycheck, you get the car you've dreamed of driving, you got everything Nike and clothes and shirts and 20 pairs of shoes, and you can go sign an autograph and make another $500,000 or whatever. I may be exaggerating, but they've got everything at their fingertips.
Yeah.
And so they've landed and they don't have another destiny. Like Carol made national marketing director, which is one of the top levels in our company, but now she wants to grow her club level so she can lead and influence more people. If you ever treat an achievement or accomplishment as your destination, that's when you rot. What's it called when a river flows in a pond, a scummy, nasty pond, and what's it called when the water just sits there? There's a name.
Silt.
Yeah. It's like just it gets stale or whatever you want to call it. Anyway,
Yeah.
we don't want to do
Yeah.
that. So Kirby was, and in our business, I think too, are you comfortable with, leading 3 people and making a couple grand a month? Are you comfortable with where you are, or do you want to grow and continue to build an army to accomplish the mission of inspiring healthy living around the world? Are you just are you settling versus being a settler, you know?
Yeah, he said, "Do you want to be uncomfortable to reach your next goal?" And
Yeah.
heard that this weekend too. Get comfortable would be an uncomfortable.
Yeah. All right, let's land the plane here. That's what when we do our podcast, we're just kind of going live randomly here. When we do our podcast, it's called Life. It's what you make it, not life. It just happens. And Trey will give
Mhm.
me the code. Is okay. It's time to land the plane. We're about done here. So Carol really impressed me because the third thing that I heard from this leadership lesson that we were both listening to through the media together was it was about transactions versus relationships. And it's really important to me because the concept of stewardship, of taking care properly of what's been given to you. And I know we all know we have money we have to take care of, whether you do it good or not. We've all got 24 hours in a day to manage our time, whether you do it good or not. But we also have relationships that we're given. We got to be good stewards over that too. And there's this in our business, we recruit people, we share our product, and we get customers and families that get to start flooding their body with fruits and vegetables. And it's amazing that we get to share this amazing product. But in one sense, a transaction does happen. Just like Kirby says, when I recruit somebody, yes, they sign a letter of intent. There's a transaction that happens. But the relationship is more important to me than the transaction. And Carol told you she moved. A lot of people moved during COVID. I think that's one of the reasons people may have lost some of their fire, passion, and energy is they're in new, maybe neutral or not unfriendly, but unfamiliar environments where they're meeting new people, plugging into new communities. And you left the big city of Atlanta and you all moved to Athens and you kind of said, okay, I know people in Athens. I went to Georgia. Been a few years since my students and my friends aren't exactly in my backyard. Carol's young, but she has been out of school for at least a year or two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been out for a
Um,
while.
but they're plugged into the community. But she said, I need to get plugged in. And she decided she was going to build new relationships and she was going to connect with a new community. And you told me something last week, Carol, that kind of amazed you. Talk a little bit about how you've plugged into some networking groups and meeting new people and how that transaction relationship mentality kind of was real and vivid to you in the last few weeks.
Okay, so yeah, it was actually right at the end of June when we had the special thing about, if you get at least three trio orders, whatever, you get double sales profit. And I had been working, I had this well, okay, let me back up. So going out to meet new people, I thought, I just got to get involved in something that is consistent so that you see the people more than one time. And I've met people around here and we have formed relationships in the church. That's sort of in our little small group of the ones that do the Bible study time together. And I wanted to go further than that. And I joined the Chamber of Commerce. I joined a Chamber of Commerce, not even in the county I live in. It's a neighboring county, Walton County. But I had a friend that I'd met through another event that had joined it, and she's in Mary Kay, so she's also doing network marketing. So we talk about some of this together. She's the only other one doing network marketing. So she said, come as my guest to this Chamber of Commerce networking meeting, and you see how you like it. So I liked it and I joined. So I thought, I just kind of felt like, okay, this is great. I'm gonna get all these new customers and everything. I walk into the room, we have it's wonderful. I'm loving it. I'm a year into it now, and I have built relationships now, but I've started and you get your 60 seconds and go around the table. Everybody has 60 seconds. Everybody's trying to, do their best spiel. So it's, that lets them know who you are and what you're doing, but it doesn't really let them know you.
Hmm.
So anyway, what I found is I have to work harder on building more of a connection and relationship to truly get them to want to even hear more from me about Juice Plus, if that makes sense. But I also started doing, after Superfood came out, I'd started doing a couple little pop-up vendor table kind of things. And it's the same thing. It's cold calls. It's like they're walking by my table. Here, try this, little taste of Superfood or this little taste of Luminate. Oh, that tastes good. And, they don't, they're like, they hear you, they take your information. Yeah, I'll take, and even give me their cell phone number, and I can follow up with them. But anyway, so that was all the story I told Curt was there was this one gentleman and he owned the bit. I didn't even know he was the business owner. I got invited to come into this little small business that's in Athens to come do the table by somebody else. And so he was walking around. I thought he was just somewhere there, somebody there visiting. And so when he walked by, he had a shirt on that had the name of the business. And anyway, so I started talking to him. I gave him a try of the superfood and he said, "Oh, that tastes really good." And I mean, it was probably a 60-second to 2-minute conversation where I told him what it was. He said, "I'm interested in that." And he says, I want to get my blood pressure down and get off my blood pressure medicine." And he told me he was a co-owner of the business there. And then he said to me as he walked away, he goes, I know I need this. And he goes, "I know a lot of people that need it too. So what do you think that did to me?" In my head. So, but he was really busy. He had to go get back to work. So he gave me a cell phone. I said, "I can send you a cart." And he said, "Okay." He'd do that. Okay. I did all that in April and I followed up and I sent him a cart. I sent him a couple videos to watch everything. And he was all happy, all that, and didn't hear back from him. I called him and he says, "I just been busy. I'm sorry." And I got to go do this, all the things. So this happened over a sequence of time. Every single follow up, he never said, "No, I'm not interested." He goes, "I'm going to do it." And then I probably sent him a cart 3 times. They don't get it that the cart's still good. They want you to send them another. So I did that. And on my last follow up, I went back and counted. Okay, let me finish the last follow up. I said, "Okay, I can come by your place of business. I'll help you. We'll get the cart completed or put your order in." And he said, "Okay." And he gave me a time on a Friday. And I went on that Friday, sat down in his office. And this is another takeaway for people promoting Juice Plus and telling people about the superfood, like at an event like I did. Don't really talk about the capsules. You might mention there's capsules. So we're going to put it in. And he says, "So I drink one of these every day." And I said, "Yes, just one a day." And I said, "It has all the powders in it. They're in the capsules if you swallowed the capsules." And he looked at me, he goes, "Oh, there's capsules?" I said, "Yeah, there's capsules." "I'd rather have the capsules." He said, I probably drink it, but I think I'd be more consistent if I had capsules just to go swallow those." And so I was like, that was a light bulb moment for me. So we got his order in and he's very happy about it. But I went back and kind of counted in my text messages. This doesn't include the phone calls. And I think I had 14 to 15 text messages I sent to him because that was late. That was in April. It was almost 2 months of follow up,
You,
is my point.
Carol, that's absolutely amazing. But you went beyond the call of duty, but we teach, and Sales 101 teaches that 80% of all conversations, transactions come to a close after that fifth or sixth conversation. Sometimes it's more, occasionally it's less. But
Hmm.
when your goal is to build a relationship, not just to transact, did you hear what Carol said? She never had a negative conversation with this man. It was
Right.
it was it was he appreciated and he knew that she cared, not just that she wanted to transact. He knew she cared. The fact that she would drive to his office, she cared. If you convey that I care more than how much I can profit, then the profit's going to come. It will. So, Carol,
And there's one more.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, one more thing that I forgot that
Yeah.
I learned that day sitting down with him in his office. And this, like, kind of really, I didn't show my surprise to him, but I said, "You're going to be glad you did this. You swallow capsules every day, everything." And he says, "Well," he goes, "I'll tell you." I said, "I'm so glad we finally were able to do this, get your order in." He says, "Well, I will say that I kind of drug my feet because I've tried other products before and they didn't work."
Ah,
And I was having to get his trust because when I followed up with him, sometimes I invited him to hear Dr. Phillips in Atlanta when he was there. I invited him to some Zooms. I mean, I kept trying to educate as well.
sure.
I didn't know that he was skeptic. And he said to me voluntarily, "Oh, I got several different men groups I'm in. They all need to hear about this."
Yeah.
And I
So,
was,
so your next challenge is, whether it's 14 text messages or 5, is to pursue how do you show him how tapping into his influence could be beneficial to him too, you know? So that's the
Exactly.
next step.
Right.
All right, here
Hmm.
we're landing the plane, and I have a challenge. Listen carefully. You see the big red G, the G on my hat and the G on Carol. I want to hear back from somebody who listened to who lives in Louisiana. Carrie Daigle, Danny Martin, that heard Brian Kelly get interviewed at Media Days. How does he lead? Come in and share a leadership lesson. You folks up there that I was with this weekend, and when I said OH, you said IO. How about some of you Buckeye fans? The Big Ten at Media Days are this week. How about one of you guys listen to Ryan Day or listen to one of the amazing coaches in the Big Ten and come back and share with us? Put it in the comments here, go live and share. How about a Clemson guy? Do we have a Dabo Sweeney fan? We got a Clemson Tiger, orange and purple. How about one of you guys come down and share with us something that you admire about how Dabo Sweeney leads his amazing team? You know, it's about to be, I mean, we're a month away from kickoff, basically, for the fall football season. So it's on people's minds. Why not use leadership lessons of people we admire to learn how each of us can grow in our business, we can be better. And I just thought Carol was a prime example. She's always teachable, she's always available, and she leads well, but she's not trying to coach and lead from the tower. She's on the field with a whistle in her mouth, and she's out there talking to people. So, Carol, I can't wait for kickoff. Who's our first
Yeah.
game with? Marshall, is that right? Marshall's our first game.
Marshall,
We
August
got a
30th.
new quarterback, new people, but I trust our leader. I trust Kirby Smart that we're going to have a great year. We're going to have a great year in our business. Travis Garza is an amazing leader. Hopefully, I'll see a bunch of you guys in Indy. But Carol, thanks for joining us today. And I know you
Sure.
probably got one thing you want to say to close us out. Is there 2 words you want to say to close us out?
Yes, go dogs.
I knew it was coming. Y'all be blessed. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.